Hello again, all you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of An Ecologist Plays. So, last time we were playing SimSafari, and we are carrying on with that. We currently have a 4-star park at the top there, and we've got quite a number of animals. And I've paused simulation again just to catch you up again on what we've got. We've got mostly grasslands, a few scattered trees. The umbrella thorns are doing quite well in the I guess this would be the eastern section of the park. Here in the north, we've got generally an open savanna with a few trees, baobabs, leadwoods, those types of things. Our village that we are hiring staff from, it's doing quite okay, although we are going to be upgrading or hopefully be supporting them a bit more as we hire more staff. And our camp is also doing quite well with a luxury dining hall here, a few trees here around the picnic area, and quite a few vehicles going from the park or from the camp into our park as well, going about looking at all the animals. We also have quite a lot of plains animals here. We've got the wildebeest, we've got zebra, we've got Thompson's gazelles, and we have got the impala also reproducing quite a bit here and doing okay-ish in the northern section, although they do seem to be doing a little bit better in the grassy environments, which is quite weird, seeing that they would do quite well in the areas which have got shrubs or trees at least. Now we have got a very open park, really not a lot of trees in here, and we are starting to get overgrazing in this section of the park as well. As the grasses have been overgrazed, it results in these little open patches, which is what you would find if you had too many grazers in an area. So what we need to do is we need to bring the population of carnivores up in this park. Now we've got a variety of carnivores to choose from. We're going to bring in the fastest land mammal on Earth. We're going to bring in a few cheetahs. They are going to be feeding mostly on your smaller herbivores, your smaller grazers, things like the Thompson's gazelles, which we've got walking around here, the impalas over there, the savanna hares. But overall, they are very good hunters, but they will often be, in nature at least, be scared off from their prey that they have caught. Are we going to mostly put in a few solitary ones here? That's because cheetahs generally are solitary, although you do often find coalitions as we've got, or as we've put in there as well. Generally, males of the same litter very often will stay together when they disperse, and then that's basically a coalition of 2 or 3 males. Now, not a lot of plains animals over here, so we're just going to have one cheetah in the north. And as we start going into the denser woodland, really not the best habitat for a cheetah, so in this area they would generally be replaced by things like leopards, which do quite well in your thicker, denser environments. And here, relatively open, so we'll put in another cheetah. Again, we'll bring in a leopard. We also do have to keep track of our finances, as our money at the bottom there is running out a little bit. We can put in a few more leopards. Not sure what there's another leopard there. There are a few leopards around at least. Now the leopard, of course, looking a little bit different from the cheetah, where the leopard, you'll find the spots over there are little rosettes where they've got the dark brown in the central part and then blotches of black blotches around that. Also, if you're looking at the face of a cheetah, if we were to go into the plains here and look at our cheetah over here, apparently it's busy hunting a duiker there, but notice the black tear marks running from the eyes to the mouth. The cheetah has that, the leopard does not. Also, the spots of the cheetah just small and solid black. A big difference there between cheetahs and leopards. And then, of course, in terms of where they occur, cheetahs generally doing much better in more open areas where they can really reach their top speeds, whereas leopards being very good ambush predators, preferring dense cover where there are trees and shrubs around. Now, what we need to do is we still need to address this bunch of prey animals on the plains here. So let's introduce another pride of male lions. As I've mentioned last time, in SimSafari, it's all male lions, although technically it's male and female. It's just that male lions are so characteristic that when they made the game, obviously, you can spot a male lion quite easily. And with the graphics being that it probably would, a female or lioness here would look very similar to a leopard, something like that. Now we also have our typical scavengers, although they are very good hunters as well. We'll put in a pack of hyenas over there. Spotted hyenas in this case. One of the 4 hyena species we've got in Africa, the other being the brown hyena, the striped hyena in the northern part, and then the aardwolf as well, which is generally an insect eater, but that's part of the Hyenidae family as well. So we'll put in a few of the hyenas here, spotted hyenas. Even though they are typically seen as scavengers, they are excellent hunters as well, capable of taking down quite a bit of quite a variety of prey animals. Now we also do need a few baboons, I think. Good prey base for things like the leopards, and at the same time also being able to try and take this savanna hare population down, because currently our savanna hares, well, they're breeding like rabbits, so we should probably just take them down a bit. It does remind me of a joke I heard years ago, where two rabbits being chased into a bush by a pack of hyenas, and the male rabbit turns to the female and he's like, well, what do we do now? Do we make a run for it, or do we wait till we outnumber them? Because obviously, very, very lame joke there, but rabbits are obviously capable of reproducing, or hares, very capable of reproducing at tremendous rates. Now, in the northern parts here, we don't have as much overgrazing because we don't generally have a lot of grazing animals over here. We've got mostly browsers, so we can support, because we've got fewer animals here, we can technically support fewer carnivores. Let's see what else we can also put in. Not really a lot of other predators we can still put in. I think we do need a pride of lions in the north here as well. So let's see what we can do about that. Let's put a pride of 5 lions. And now we need to go and sort out our camp, of course, as well. Last time we did put in a few cottages here. I think we can probably put in a few more. And I think we should put it in this section over here. So I'll get building with that, and then I'll meet back with you in a moment. Okay, we've set up our little basic section here with a few more cottages. Now, the ones along the side here, they would have the amazing view just outside of the park, so they'll see the animals walking around. Let's hope this area is fenced off, just to keep the visitors safe at least. But they would generally be able to see things like hyenas walking past on the outside here, waiting for people to illegally throw a few scraps over to the other side. Now, we also still have quite a few outhouses and stuff here. I think I'll make a little ablution block over here amongst all the trees, a bit of privacy so that people can at least come and shower in peace. Okay, so I just put in 3 little ones over here. I was going to put a 4th one here, but it would mean that we'd have to take out a camel thorn tree over here, and that's a protected species here in South Africa. We're not allowed to take out the camel thorns here. Very nice wood to make a fire with. Makes very nice coals for a nice braai, but it is illegal to harvest these in South Africa. It's a protected tree. You need a permit to actually take them down. So in order to avoid potential issues, let's not do that. Now I want to put up a nice lodge for our visitors. And I'm going to put that up, I think, right over here, very close to the fence. I'll put another one over here as well, and we're going to link it up. They're going to be able to also easily visit the blind area over here, so that they can actually go and look at the animals. I think we also need to put in, just in case they feel like a nice relaxing, well, not a shower, let's be a little bit more classy. Let's put in a hot tub for the people with way too much money. Now, this is not my type of camping. I prefer, well, not even these. I prefer pitching my own little tent somewhere in the wilderness, in a campsite. Generally, don't want to die yet. But I haven't stayed in a lodge like that. Maybe one day I'll try it. But for now, I'd rather just go camping very nicely. Okay, let's put in a few sausage trees here as well, just as they also have to look out and beware falling sausage fruit. And then lastly, I think the people also need a bit of entertainment. This one's especially for my brother, who during the last episode was so hoping that I put in an amphitheater so that people can come and watch the little videos. So let's do that. They can come in and sit here in the evenings and watch a little show, a little documentary. Now, the documentaries that played on the screen here would basically just be the videos of the animals that we can see in our park. When we click on them, those are basically the videos that will play there. So, of course, now we've expanded our camp, we also need to go and hire more staff. So let's get right to that. I think, yes, we need to hire another cook. We already have a driver spare, and I think we need to hire 6 attendants because we've expanded quite a bit. When we have a bit more money, we'll hire more naturalists. And for now, I think let's hire one more scout, although we don't really need one. Okay, and that is good. Nothing new from the village. Okay, so let's have a look at our park again. Let's see how it's going in the south here. Lots of carnivores, lots of lions, lots of zebra, quite a few elephants as well, as you can hear there right on cue. And our little safari vehicles are still driving around. And we've got quite a few game animals as people drive into the park. Now we do need to expand our park network or park road network. So I think we are going to put in a road that turns off from over here. So let's set this up and I'll meet back with you in a moment. Okay, so I finished up the road network and I realized something interesting as well. We have got a lot of oryx, wildebeest and zebra and quite a lot of lions as well. But if we look around, you'll see that we don't really have any of our Thompson's gazelles left, nor do we actually have any impalas left. So what's actually happened in this reserve here is that our population of those animals have dropped. And you can see here they started out quite nicely. So here we've plotted a graph of plains zebra in orange, we've got lion in pink, wildebeest in blue, Thompson's gazelle in light green and impala in yellow. And in the case of both the Thompson's gazelle and the impala, they've increased quite nicely. But then once the population of plains zebras increased tremendously, and that resulted in the grass being overeaten or overgrazed, and also when the wildebeest increased, and then of course when the lions increased beyond a certain point, the population start dropping. Now if we exchange the wildebeest for the wild dog, let's see, that didn't really have an effect because it started dropping before the wild dogs reached that point. Let's see, spotted hyenas. That also did not generally have an effect there. It's most likely that the increase in the lions resulted in the drop in the other animals. So we'll need to figure out a way of getting rid of the majority of the zebra over here. Now, we have got an option to do disasters. Now, until now, the disasters have been set off so that there's no disasters, just to get the park up and running. But you know what? We might as well try some kind of disaster. And I'm going to roll a die to see which one of the three we have to do. And the die said we must put in locusts. So let's have one of the biblical plagues starting out. And it seems they've started in this section over here. Now, locusts, what would happen is this is probably Locustana pardalina, the swarming locust, or the brown locust. What they do is, after many years of good rainfall, they would come into the system and they would increase such an extent that they actually start congregating. Normally, they are relatively solitary, and then once they get in high concentrations, they actually start forming swarms, like we've got over here. And they will be a few million strong, flying and basically eating everything they can see in their path. In this case, they are eating the trees, they're eating the grasses. I was actually hoping they would eat only the grasses to potentially give the trees a bit of a fighting chance. But what's going to happen now is the locusts here are basically going to eat most of the grass. There will then be a disturbance in the primary production level, which will then result in many of the grazers struggling a bit. And that will cause their numbers to drop, potentially giving things like impalas a chance to come back. I was actually hoping it would start on the other side of the park so that the animals here decrease in numbers as a result of the plague outbreak. Now, the red bit here in the map, that is where the locusts are, either where they are or where they, well, so-called spawning points are, where they would respawn new swarms. So these would basically be where they've laid their eggs, and during high rainfall years, they can lay their eggs and you can have a few successive broods in a relatively short period of time. Now, thus far, the impact of the locusts has actually been relatively contained. It's generally only this part over here that's really suffered. But on the outskirts here, there's a lot of grass, and every rainfall year, or rainy season here, the grass just takes over a few of these brood sites here, resulting in the grass cover not decreasing tremendously. What we could do as we can see what happens if we throw in a drought as well. Now the plants are going to suffer a little bit more. So it's now dry season, the locust plague is upon us, the water levels have dropped a bit now, resulting in quite a few patches opening up here where previously there was water. Now it's barren earth, which can now be colonized by grass. The amount of water now has seriously decreased. It kind of seems like Moses passed this way and the water opened up before him. We also have on the outskirts here still the locusts carrying on. I'm pretty sure the ecologist over here is not very happy with us with the plague outbreak and the drought. However, all of this is a natural phenomenon. People tend to spray the locusts when they arrive here on Earth, especially in the Karoo, the central part of South Africa, tend to spray these locusts, and what happens then is they kill them off before they reach the point where they reach such a number that they actually eat all the food and then die off naturally, which means that there's still a lot of food left. And we'll probably talk about that in a future episode as well. But if you kill off the locusts before they reach their massive amount, what happens then is there's enough food for them to just, once you've killed most of them off, there will still be a few left, they have got more than enough food and they can very quickly recover. And that's obviously quite bad because then every year or 3 you've got a plague outbreak rather than every 15 years. So what we're witnessing here would technically only happen once every 15 or so years. I'm pretty sure our lady here is also... No, she just spoke with an ecstatic visitor and that person is thrilled with the park. Let's see what our ecologists say. Locusts cause great destruction. The bulldozer is a good tool to get things back to normal. Now, I would not advise using bulldozers because that would disturb the soil and you need all the microbes in the soil, all the microorganisms in the soil to really do their job and to get the vegetation to recover quite quickly. So these would be things like fungi and bacteria in the soil. The bacteria, very often nitrogen-fixing bacteria, fixing nitrogen from the atmosphere, making it available for the plants they grow on, whereas the fungi are also the mycorrhizal fungi, grow around the root hairs of plants, and they take up nutrients and water and make it available to the plant. Very, very, very nice. Good relationship between the plants and the fungi, and we need those things undisturbed. So we're not going to bring a bulldozer in. Over time, the grass would probably take over these areas over here as well. Our locusts have spread. Most of the northeastern side of the park has now been affected by it. The drought is still carrying on. The park is in need of water. However, many of these animals, the wildebeest and the zebra, are water-dependent species. They are going to suffer a bit more if there is a major drought. Things like the oryx over here can survive longer periods of time without water. So generally you'll probably find that the zebras and wildebeest numbers would drop a bit due to the relatively shortage of water, whereas the oryx may actually do a little bit better. So let's have a look here. Let's make species 2 the wildebeest again. And we'll make species 3 oryx. Still no Thompson's gazelle, still no impala, so let's just take them out of the equation. Interesting, the oryx numbers have also dropped quite a bit, mainly due to competition, I think, with these other two. And let's put lion back in the equation. Let's see how that has affected things. Let's have a look at the past 5 years. The lion numbers increase and then decrease as their main prey, the plains zebra, starts dropping, and the wildebeest is keeping steady. So it seems wildebeest relatively constant in numbers, zebras fluctuating a bit more, your lions obviously following the patterns of their main food source, in this case the zebra, and oryx generally being outcompeted by the other grazers and then also eaten by the lions. Okay, so the ecologist here says she doesn't see all the animals in the big 5. We don't have a lot of buffalo, so we'll probably put in a few more buffalo. And there have been a few poaching incidents, but in general, animals and humans living in coexistence. Now, what's happened here is we've had the environmental degradation you would expect from a plague of locusts, where they've basically eaten all the grass. I think they've fizzled out more or less now. I don't see any new swarms going everywhere. I do hear fire, though. The villagers, there's a fire in their village. Let's have a look. Oh, dear. Are you guys okay? What burned down? I don't see a fire. Maybe some of the crops died. You will notice here the trample damage here by the elephants, most likely, as the park didn't have enough food. The elephants came into our village, or the village over here, and started trampling the crops there. So they've had a few losses, and it seems they've had a bit of a fire with one bush and a few maize stalks burnt. Now, in terms of our finances, we are keeping relatively steady. Let's have a look here, seeing in terms of accounting, we have got that, and we started that, and that's because we made about 11,000 rand. Well, dollars, actually, $11,000. That's actually not bad. We can almost buy a few things with that. So I'm just going to carry on with the park a little bit. Let's see what happens. We have got a potential problem with the environmental degradation that's happened over here. Lots of grasses taken out of the equation and lots of trees. The trees really also seem to have suffered quite a bit. We now no longer have the drought, however, and we also no longer have the locust causing a problem. So should be all right for now. We do have quite a lot of wildebeest, and I'll see how things play out with that. Okay, something exciting has just happened. I'm busy rehabilitating the tree, or putting in trees in this area here, and I heard a cheering, and if we look at the top, we can see we are now a 5-star park, and that's because I have also put in a few buffalo, which we can see walking around over here. So I've taken the chance with the fact that the grasses here have been taken out by the locusts to put in a few trees, and hopefully now they can disperse and outcompete any grasses trying to move into the system. In savanna ecosystems, grasses and trees really are competing with one another quite a bit. If you increase things like the amount of fire in an area, trees start disappearing and grasses start coming in, or most trees will start disappearing. If you increase the amount of browsers in an area, so things eating from trees or eating the leaves of trees, the trees start getting outcompeted by the grasses. And if you bring in grazers, then the grasses will be taken out and replaced by trees. So grasses and trees really are in fluctuation in savanna ecosystems. Now, we do have a carcass right over there, and I think this may actually have been from poaching rather than from natural death or by hunting, because that generally doesn't show. You don't see a lot of corpses lying around. If you had this many lions in the park, you would expect to see quite a lot of death and destruction in the park, which we don't have. So that's no problem there. So we've got, again, lots of grazers. We also have quite a lot of the five-striped skinks walking around. Let's see, their predators, in the game at least, would be secretary birds and martial eagles. So let's bring in Sagittarius serpentis. We're going to bring in, and you can see quite a few walking around already, the secretary bird. Really an amazing bird, able to take out snakes with a very, very strong kicks. And they are typical of these open areas, basically like little modern dinosaurs running all over the place. So let's put in a few more. If we've got this many skinks, we would be able to support the number or higher number of secretary birds as well. Generally quite water dependent. If you go to, for example, the Kalahari region in southern Africa, you'll find that in the middle of the day, all the secretary birds are around the watering holes coming in to drink a bit. We also have a martial eagle flying around here. One of our largest eagles, along with Vero's eagle and the crowned eagle as well. They would be able to take out quite a lot of these skinks, and then also actually take out some things like savanna hares as well. Speaking of which, let's have a look. A happy tune is playing because we've got a 5-star park. Let's have a look here. What happened to the 5-striped skinks, or 5-lined skink, and we're going to look at what happened to the savanna hares. Savanna hares had quite a drop. Let's go and view nothing else. In the past years, savanna hares have been pretty much extinct. The 5-lined skink, quite high numbers. As they increase during the breeding season, then drop off a bit, and you can see this seasonal fluctuation in numbers present in the game here as well. And here we've already had the drop off of the savanna hares, but they reached quite high numbers, not as high as the 5-lined skinks reached, however, and they are still increasing. Quite interesting to watch the rise and fall of population crashes of these animals. Okay, so villagers seem to be poaching more. Let's have a look at that. And I will have a look at the food web, I think, next time. So in terms of the village here, they also have a little clinic here to help them, you know, whenever one of them gets sick. They've got a tractor. Oh, they really are moving up in the world. You also have quite a few Ilala palms over here. Really very, very useful trees. I think I'll speak about them a little bit more next time. Now, I think let's have a look at our finances. Yeah, we can support putting in a few more vehicles. So let's have a look here. I think we are going to become a little bit more fancy. We are going to put in the pop-top vans. Let's put in, I think, 4 of those. And there goes all the money. Okay, now we do need 3 more drivers. So let's put 3 drivers in. We'll put 3 scouts. And let's hire 2 more naturalists as well. And there's the amphitheater playing a Savannah Baboon little clip over there. So everybody coming to it can now actually watch that little clip playing and playing and playing the whole time. Let's see, what can we still build in our camp? We've basically built everything we possibly can, which is quite all right. We've got a relatively expansive camp, but we can still increase this. I think I'll do that next time. Our stars here are increasing, decreasing, increasing, decreasing. But we'll have a look at what we're missing. Okay, poaching is getting worse. Big 5 are doing well. We still need a few more things to look in the food web. Now, we don't actually have an option here to look at the food web, but we have the basic idea. We need plants, and there we are, 5 stars again. We need plants, or the primary producers. We need to get the herbivores in, and we need to get the carnivores in. Next time, we are probably going to focus a little bit more on our trees here as well. Let's put in a few more trees. Let's put a few marulas. We put leadwoods in here as well. Apparently, we are literally on the 4-star, 5-star line. With there we go, 4-star again. And we'll probably be a 5-star again shortly. And there we are, 5-star again. Okay, but I'm putting in here now is what we call knobthorn. Now, knobthorn trees are very, very palatable. They are, along with the red oat or the red grass that we've got over here, they are some of the best plants to have in a savanna ecosystem, in a reserve. So let's open up a gap here, and then we just plant a whole bunch of knobthorns. They are basically as palatable to browsers as the red grass is to grazers. So we're going to add in these, and hopefully when there's a gap in the surrounding grasslands, they can actually spread from there. We're creating little nodes from which they can hopefully spread out. Now, unfortunately, our umbrella thorns aren't doing too well, so let's increase their numbers again, so they can also hopefully spread out from here. Now, before we end today's session, I see we've dropped down to a 3-star and be back onto a 4-star. I do want to put in a few flamingos, just because they're probably going to get eaten by all the lions we've got in the area. But let's have them flying around there and standing around as well. Now, flamingos are not naturally this pink. They are naturally white instead of pink, but they get the pink color from the animals that they eat, from the organisms they eat, the carotene in there, and that gives them that pink color. So if you were to not feed, or if they were to not get carotene in their diet, they would basically just be pure white flamingos. Now, they don't need the carotene to survive. It just gives them that extra color, and yeah, basically it's like eating a whole bunch of carrots and accidentally turning orange. You won't turn pink from eating too much carrots. You'll probably turn orange. We're going to also add in a few oxpeckers. Let's say they're roosting in this little baobab over here and flying out into the surrounding environments. Oxpeckers being extremely nice because they eat ticks on the game animals in the park. However, they're not really after the ticks themselves. They are actually after the blood in the ticks. They're little vampires, real-life vampires in Africa. And the way we know this is because if an animal like a giraffe or an elephant, well, not really elephants, they rarely go onto elephants, but if a giraffe or a buffalo or a hippo or any other animal were to have a wound on there, the oxpeckers would actively keep on pecking at the wound to keep it open and bleeding. And then they go and lap up the blood that's seeping out of the wound. The oxpeckers are, of course, eating the ticks because, well, in the ticks there are lots of blood, there's lots of blood, and of course the ticks also being some nutrients as well. If we look in this section of the park, actually it doesn't look too bad. We've got a nice mixture of trees and grasses. In the area where I rehabilitated and put in a lot of trees, they seem to be doing quite well. Whether they're actively going to spread is another matter. The knob thorns here still relatively confined to where I put them in, but hopefully they will be able to spread out a little bit more as time goes on. But join me next week where we see what happens next, what we can still do to keep this as a 5-star park, what else we can do to potentially mess around with the ecosystem without destroying it completely. Remember to leave a like below, comment if you want to comment what I should do next in the park, and subscribe if you want to be the first to be notified when a new video comes out. But until next time, stay safe and I'll see you soon.